Barren Wuffet is not your typical hero. He is not that strong, he is not that amazing with rifles or explosives. Regardless, he still accomplished his duty as a US military. When the nukes fell, he had shelter in Vault 111. However, after being in cryogenic stasis for more than 200 years, his wife was killed and his son Shaun kidnapped. Once free from the vault, he tried to find Shaun and tried to avenge his wife. Surprisingly, he was able to survive the Commonwealth and find his wife's killer, Kellogg. However, he was unable to defeat him. When barely escaping Fort Hagen, he was surprised by the Brotherhood of Steele's Prydwen arriving in the Commonwealth.
Do not interfere. Our intentions are peaceful.
However defeated, Barren Wuffet had an idea. He remembered his strengths. He remembered that the one thing he was good at was making money and persuading people. So in that moment, he made a decision. To find his son, he would need to find another way. He knew that money moves mountains and influences the ones in the highest places. So in order to find his son, he decided to become the wealthiest man in the Commonwealth. This is Barren Wuffet, and this is his story. The main goal of this playthrough is to get to 1 million caps. The rules of this challenge are simple. I'm going to attempt this legitimately without mods or cheating, and the only glitch that I'm allowed to use is the one that allows the companions to carry an unlimited weight. And just because it doesn't affect the legitimacy of the playthrough but saves me a lot of time. Also, I'm going to do this in survival mode. The starting point of this build, as I mentioned before, is after Kellogg and the appearance of the Prydwen. Barren Wuffet is level 26, he has 14,667 caps, and his current weapons include the Overseer's Guardian and the legendary 10mm pistol. He currently runs 3 settlements including Sanctuary Hills, Red Rocket Truck Stop, and Oberland Station. So in this first episode we are focusing on Sanctuary Hills. As probably many of you know, a big part of the making money strategy in Fallout 4 includes producing and selling tons and tons and tons of purified water. And since Sanctuary Hills has a river, it allows us to build industrial water purifiers, making it our first water farm. Each industrial water purifier can generate 40 water and consumes 5 energy. The goal for this episode is to build enough industrial water purifiers to reach 1,000 water supply in Sanctuary Hills. And this allows us to generate huge amounts of purified water that we can then use to buy materials, to build stuff, and eventually sell in the future for caps. And since Barren Wuffet has such a high charisma and also the cap collector perk, at this stage of the game we are able to sell each purified water by around 15-16 caps each. Through the initial part of the game, I was able to start with 200 water in Sanctuary Hills, so that's the current production that we have. This means that we have 800 more to go to be produced in order to reach our goal of 1,000 water. The thing is, what makes it hard is the amount of resources that we need to build all of these industrial water purifiers, because just for one industrial water purifier, we are going to need 4 oil, 2 ceramic, 10 rubber, 4 copper, 20 steel, 4 cloth, and 6 screws. But then don't forget that each one needs to be powered. In order to power the industrial water purifiers, we're just going to use medium power generators. And each one needs exactly 1 ceramic, 3 rubber, 3 copper, 7 steel, 3 screws, and 3 gears. So if you consider 20 medium power generators plus 20 industrial water purifiers, in total we are actually going to need 80 oil, 60 ceramic, 260 rubber, 140 copper, 540 steel, 80 cloth, 180 screws, and 60 gears. So it's a lot of resources. Additionally, in this episode, every single settler in Sanctuary Hills is going to be assigned to produce melons. The reason for this is that melons can be sold for 5 caps each to Lucy Abernathy in Abernathy Farm, which is right next to Sanctuary Hills. So the strategy that I am going to use in this episode is basically going to be the following. So I'm going to get shipments and junk from vendors in Diamond City and Good Neighbor, and I'm going to pay them using purified water. Then every single weapon that I can get from enemies that attack me along the way are going to be scrapped for materials. Since I have the scrapper perk, I can get specific materials like screws and gears that can be used to build the industrial water purifiers. The travel from Sanctuary Hills to Diamond City by Vertibird to buy stuff. So there's all this travel in several steps. So I'm not going to buy everything at the same time. I'm going to do this in several steps. Allows the in-game time to pass. So every time that I get back to Sanctuary Hills, I'm probably going to have more purified waters waiting for me. So since I'm using that as my currency right now to buy materials, that's pretty important. And then every time I go back to Sanctuary Hills, I also collect all the melons that are ready. If I get new settlers, I just add more melons so that settler can produce additional melons. I'm going to store every purified water and melon in a separate storage space so the settlement continues to produce goods, because if you just leave it in the workshop, the settlement is going to stop producing stuff because he knows that you have a lot of stuff there. And then regarding the transportation form, I'm just going to use Vertibirds to travel around because it's way faster. Then you know that this is limited, so each travel is going to cost one Vertibird grenade to call the Vertibird. So the last Vertibird grenade that I use is going to be used to travel to the Prydwen, where I can buy more Vertibird grenades for further Uber services. So we started off in Sanctuary Hills, just organizing the melon production first. So basically, each settler is able to produce 6 food. And considering that each melon produces 0.5 food, that means that each settler can produce 12 melons. So that's basically the optimized number, is 12 melons per settler. So right after this, I got every single resource from Red Rocket, and I carry it over to Sanctuary using a Vertibird because I'm freaking lazy. And I can't walk 10 feet over and cover. So with all the materials that we were able to gather, we built 3 additional industrial water purifiers. After that, we solved the bed situation, so I'm going to basically try to have 1 bed per person plus 2 or 4 beds extra, just to make sure that our settlers are happy. So after this, I took Strong to Diamond City to buy materials from Arturo and Myrna. Coming back to Sanctuary Hills, I scrapped all the weapons that I can find from killing some raiders, and I dropped my junk. So I was able, with all the materials that I purchased, I was able to build 4 additional industrial water purifiers, including all the juice that powers all these water purifiers. And also I collected all the melons that were already ready for me to collect. So after collecting all the melons, I went back to Diamond City. I bought more materials from Arturo and Myrna. I went to Good Neighbor, killed some raiders along the way, and bought materials from Cleo. After that, some more raiders were harassing me, so they got dealt with. I went back to Sanctuary Hills again. I built 3 industrial water purifiers. I checked to see how my melon production was doing. So right now I know that I have 12 people producing melons, which is pretty good. So after this, back again, went back to Diamond City, got materials from Arturo and Myrna, Sanctuary Hills, built 3 extra industrial water purifiers. So after this, I just basically went back to, Diamond City, Good Neighbor, bought whatever stuff that I needed. So eventually, after about 4 or 5 runs to Diamond City and Good Neighbor, I was able to get all the materials to build every single industrial water purifier and medium power generator. So after doing all of this and accomplishing our goal for this episode, Barren Wuffet has exactly 16,016 caps. The number of settlements that I have are exactly the same, but currently I have 1800 purified waters and 600 melons. And finally, Sanctuary Hills is now producing 1000 water. I have 12 people, all of them are producing melons, so this means that we have 144 melons being produced. So as you can see, we are still miles away from our goal of 1 million caps. However, I really hope you enjoyed this series. I'm putting a lot of work into this. So make sure that you subscribe in order for you to not miss any episode from this series. And I really hope you have a nice week. See you later.